Good day, friends. So, today we'll be starting with the first chapter from the first unit, and in this, we'll be dealing with four subtopics: what is living, diversity in the living world, taxonomic categories, and taxonomical aids. So, in this paragraph, there's nothing very important, guys. I'll just tell you what's in there. If you want, you can just pause the video and just read it out. So, what they're trying to say is that living organisms can thrive anywhere, even in extraordinary habitats like the coldest places, polar ice caps, up to the hot springs where the temperature exceeds 100 degrees Celsius. So, we cannot say that, living organisms can live only in optimal temperature. No, that's not the truth. Like you see, archaebacteria and some really fascinating organisms that can live in temperatures exceeding 100 degrees Celsius. So that is what they're trying to say here. And the other thing that they are telling here is what is living. Like every time we see this fascinating nature, we always think what is living. So what is living has two answers, like two sides of the same coin. One answer is a philosophical one, what is the purpose of life, and that kind of one, and the other one is a biological and technical one. So as biologists, we'll obviously be seeing only what is the technical one, guys. So that is it with this intro part, and that's there's nothing else important. You can just remember these 2 points which I have told you. So let's get into the first subtopic: what is living. So whenever we see a living organism, what do we expect from them? We obviously know that a living organism should show growth, reproduction, and they have to sense the environment. And also some other additional features are metabolism, ability to self replicate them, and also a self organized body. So yes, guys, and we also know that all living organisms grow, isn't it or not? Like every living organism grow, but they show intrinsic growth. That is, they grow from inside. For example, if you take a non-living organism, they grow from outside. Like they get deposits on top of their body, so that is called extrinsic growth outside. And we all living organisms show intrinsic growth, that is, we grow and increase in mass, and our cell division takes place inside the body. So yes, increase in mass and increase in number of individuals are twin characteristic of growth. You just have to remember all what I highlight, and you just listen to me, and I think that's enough, guys, for completing a lesson. A multicellular organism grows by cell division. As we all know that we are multicellular organisms. A unicellular organism means a single cell. A single cell is a complete organism, and that is called unicellular organism. But we are composed of many different cells, which in turn organize a tissue. Many different tissues are called organs, and many different organs are called organ systems. So we come under organ system. So yes, let's see. In plants, this growth by cell division occurs continuously throughout their lifespan. So that in plants, the cell division occurs throughout their life. Okay, that is called open form of growth. But animals, we only grow up to a certain age. In animals, this growth is seen only up to a certain age. However, cell division occurs in certain tissues to replace lost cells. So, what are they trying to say? Yes, you see, guys, in plants, cell division will occur throughout their lifespan, so that the plants and trees will grow and grow and grow up throughout their life. They don't have a certain height or certain age up to which they grow. But animals, we don't have open form of growth. So we grow only up to a certain stage, and then we stop growing. But still, there are certain tissues which will in which cell division will occur to replace lost cell. Like if we get hurt or something, so that in that place the cell division has to occur, and then heal that place. So only in certain cases, in animals also, cell division takes place throughout their life, but not like plants. Okay, because plants have open form of growth. Then unicellular organisms grow by cell division. Not only unicellular and multicellular, they all grow by cell division. Okay, one can easily observe this in vitro. So what are they trying to say? In vitro means in the test tube, in the laboratory, guys. So so just learn this word. In vitro cultures are nothing but test tube cultures. So what are they trying to say? By simply counting the number of cells under a microscope, one can easily observe this in vitro cultures by simply counting the number of cells under the microscope. So, for example, if there's a single organism, it divides into two, guys, because a unicellular organism divides into two organisms. So again that organism divides into two organisms because one organism has to have only one single cell, right? So they will again divide into two organisms. So how do you measure growth in a unicellular organism? You simply count it, easy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's easy. So what are they saying? One can easily observe these in vitro cultures by simply counting the number of cells under the microscope. So because one cell is one organism. So easy. So in majority of higher animals and plants, growth and reproduction are mutually exclusive events. You see people in single cell organism growth, if they grow they become another two different organisms. So growth, and they also reproduce because they are these are the offsprings, right? So because these are the offspring, they automatically become two different organisms. But in multicellular organism, even though their cells divide, they do not reproduce. So reproduction is totally exclusive event from cell division. But in unicellular organism, reproduction, this is unicellular. So reproduction and cell division are mutually inclusive, right? But that is reproduction and growth are mutually inclusive. But in higher animals and plants, growth and reproduction are mutually exclusive events. Don't forget to read out which whatever I have highlighted, guys, in the end. So one must remember that increase in body mass is considered as growth. So everybody know that increase in body mass is growth. Objects like non-living objects, if we take increase in body mass as a criterion for growth, mountains, boulders, and sand moons do grow. Like I previously told you, even mountains, boulders, and sand moons grow, but that is extrinsic growth. They accumulate material. See, it's given here. However, this kind of growth exhibited by non-living objects is by accumulation of material on the surface. See, non-living objects by accumulation of material on the surface. In living organism, growth is from inside. Yes, this is called intrinsic growth. Growth, therefore, cannot be taken as defining property. Why it cannot be taken as defining property? Because growth can be seen in living as well as non-living. In living it is called intrinsic and non-living it is called extrinsic. So this cannot be a defining property. If one property has to be a defining property, it should only be seen in living. Okay, so conditions under which it can be observed in all living organisms have to be explained, and then we understand that it is the characteristic of living organism. A dead organism does not grow. So all that simple things, guys, a dead organism obviously does not grow. So the next one, reproduction likewise is a characteristic of living organism. In multicellular organ, so reproduction is a characteristic of living organism. Like you have to know this. Let me highlight this point for you. In multicellular organism, reproduction refers to production of progeny possessing features more or less similar to those of the parents. Invariably and implicitly, we refer to sexual reproduction. So, whenever we take multicellular organism, it's obviously sexual reproduction. Organism reproduced by asexual means also fungi multiply and spread easily through millions of asexual spores they produce. So, all these are examples which you have to remember. And in lower organism like yeast and hydra, we observe budding. So yeast and hydra, it is budding. In planaria, that is flatworms, we observe true regeneration. What is true regeneration? Fragmented organism regenerates the lost part of its body and becomes a new organism. Okay. So let me explain up to this. So multicellular organism always reproduce through sexual means, and there may be few exceptions, and also asexual and when you go to unicellular organism, they always like reproduce through asexual means. And fungi, you have to remember these examples. Fungi reproduce by asexual spores, and yeast and hydra reproduce by budding. Planaria, flatworms, true regeneration. What is true regeneration, guys? Like, for example, if there is an organism and this gets cut, okay, so one is like this and the other one is like this, so this organism will regenerate the lost part, and this organism will also regenerate the lost part. This will become one organism and this will become another organism. So this is called true regeneration, and this is seen in flatworms. Okay. So the next, the fungi, filamentous algae, protonema of mosses, all easily multiply by fragmentation. Fungi can multiply by asexual spores, and they can also multiply by fragmentation. These examples are very, very, very important, guys. So please remember them. Please learn them and by heart them thoroughly. Let me tell you again, fungi multiply and spread by asexual spores. They also multiply by fragmentation. Yeast and hydra multiply by budding. Planaria, flatworms are true regeneration. Fungi, filamentous algae, mosses, everything, all these three can also multiply by fragmentation. When it comes to amoeba, amoeba is an unicellular algae. Like everybody learnt it from 6th standard. Amoeba is unicellular. So reproduction is synonymous with growth. I told you no, like a few minutes back I told you in unicellular organism, reproduction and growth are mutually inclusive events. In multicellular, reproduction and growth are mutually exclusive events. So that is the same thing which is given here. Reproduction is synonymous with growth. In unicellular organism, reproduction is synonymous with growth. An example for unicellular is amoeba, unicellular algae or amoeba. So increase in number of cells. If the number of cells increase, it's growth as well as reproduction, right? So that is what they're trying to say. So yes, we have already defined growth as equivalent to increase in cell number or mass. Hence we notice that in single cell organism we are not very clear about the usage of these two terms, growth and reproduction, because they are not clear, because growth and reproduction are same. Further, there are many organisms which do not reproduce: mules, sterile worker bees, infertile human couple. So, yes, do like before this, what did we see? We saw growth. Was growth seen only in living organism? No, growth was seen in both living and non living. And now we are seeing reproduction. Is reproduction seen only in living organism? Yes, reproduction is seen only in living organism, but there are living organisms which do not reproduce. What are they? Mules, sterile worker bees, infertile human couple. All of them do not reproduce. So what is mule, guys? If you know what mule is, comment down below and I'll tell you the answer in the next video, okay? So hence reproduction also cannot be all inclusive defining characteristic of living. Of course, no non-living is capable of reproducing or replicating itself, but even there are living organisms which cannot reproduce. So this also cannot be a defining characteristic. So next get into the another new characteristic, that is metabolism. So let's see if metabolism is a defining characteristic. All living organisms are made of chemicals. Is it or not? Yes, obviously, all of us are made of chemicals. We have DNA, we have, the proteins, we have carbohydrates, everything, like everything on earth is chemicals, guys. Just don't think they are chemicals. Chemicals are, as science students, you will know. I know. I don't need to explain that part. But if you want me to explain, you can comment down below. So, yes, let's go to the next part. These chemicals, small or big, belonging to various classes, sizes, functions, etc., are constantly being made and changed into some other biomolecules. Yes or not? Like like catabolism, anabolism. Do you know what's catabolism and anabolism? Okay, let me tell you. Like catabolism is breakdown of bigger stuff into simpler stuff. Okay, like for example, when you break down proteins into amino acids. And what is anabolism? Anabolism is building up of bigger molecules with the help of smaller molecules. Like for example, you can take the same example, many amino acids form proteins, okay, like that. So yes, are constantly being made and changed into some other biomolecule. These are conversions, are chemical reactions, or metabolic reactions. So anabolism plus catabolism is equal to metabolism. Remember that, guys. There are thousands of metabolic reaction occurring simultaneously inside all living organism, be they unicellular or multicellular. So, whether it is unicellular organism or multicellular organism, every organism there is metabolism taking place. Remember, guys, metabolism takes place everywhere. Thousands of reactions simultaneously in all living organism, be it unicellular or multicellular. So all plants, animals, fungi, microbes exhibit metabolism. All plants, animals, fungi and microbes exhibit metabolism. The sum total of all chemical reaction occurring in the body is metabolism. So what is the all chemical reaction? What are the two chemical reaction that take place in any living organism? One is catabolism and the other one is anabolism. So catabolism plus anabolism is metabolism. No non-living object exhibit metabolism. Yes, like for example, previously we saw mountains, sand boulders, everything show growth, extrinsic growth. But do they show metabolism? No, they do not show metabolism. So, metabolic reaction can be demonstrated outside the body in cell-free system. So, they can be demonstrated, they can be shown to students, or they can be seen by eye, or they can be experimented in a laboratory, okay, in cell-free system. So, an isolated metabolic reaction outside the body of organism performed in a test tube. So how do they perform it, guys? They obviously perform it in vitro, that is in test tube. So it's neither living nor non-living. So when you perform a metabolic reaction in a test tube in a laboratory, it is neither living nor non-living. Hence, while metabolism is defining feature of all living organisms without exception, isolated metabolic reactions in vitro are not living things but surely living reactions. Yes or no, guys? So what like if you don't understand, let me tell you. Metabolism is defining feature of living organism. Why are they defining? Because they are not seen in non-living organism. They can be exhibited only in living organism. So they are called defining feature of living organism. But the metabolic reaction in vitro are not living things, but definitely they are living reactions. This is important. You have to remember this. So, hence, cellular organization of the body is defining feature of life forms. Perhaps the most obvious and technically, so cellular organization of the body is defining feature of life forms. So, you have to remember this. It's important. Perhaps the most obvious and technically complicated feature of all living organism is the ability to sense the environment and respond to these environmental stimuli, which could be physical, chemical, or biological. So, the most complicated feature of the living organism is what? The ability to sense their environment. Okay, and we also respond to the environmental stimuli, which can be physical, chemical, or biological. We can sense our environment with our what sense organs. We can like plants also respond to external factors like light, water, temperature, and other organism pollutants, etc. All organisms from prokaryotes to the most complex eukaryotes can sense and respond to environmental cues. So every organism, right from the prokaryotes up to the eukaryotes, even the plants can respond to external, environment and external factors. So photoperiod affects reproduction in seasonal breeders, both plants and animals. What are seasonal breeders, guys? Seasonal breeders are ones which reproduce only in a certain season. If you take for example human are not seasonal breeders because we reproduce any time of the year, so we are not seasonal breeders. But there are, like for example, if you take dogs, they are seasonal breeders. So likewise in plants also, if you take mango, you have a mango season. So plants and certain animals do reproduce seasonally. So for them, what is that? Like, what is the thing which affects them? It's called photoperiod. Photoperiod is the duration of light. So, all organisms handle chemicals entering their bodies. All organisms, therefore, are aware of their surrounding. Yes. So, are non-living or objects aware of their surrounding? No. So, only living organisms are aware of their surrounding. They can sense their surrounding and also respond to these environmental stimuli. Human being is the only organism who is aware of himself. So only we have self consciousness, guys. Only the exceptional living organism, only the superior living organism on earth is human being. Why are we called the superior beings? Because we can be aware of ourselves. We are self conscious. So that is the reason we are superior beings. But otherwise, even all other organisms are aware of the surrounding. So consciousness is the defining property of living organism. So what is the defining feature? The defining feature is cellular organization, which is nothing but metabolism, and defining property is consciousness. So you have to remember, defining property is consciousness and defining feature is metabolism, also known as cellular organization. When it comes to human beings, it is all the more difficult to define the living state. We observe patients lying in coma in hospitals, virtually supported by machines which replace heart and lungs. The patient is otherwise brain dead. The patient has no self-consciousness. Are such patients who never come back to normal life living or non-living? Yes, this is a big question. If some of you know, you can comment down below, guys. What they are saying is like there are many people lying in coma in hospitals and their heart and lung is substituted by machines. So do you call them living or non-living? Because their heart and lungs are substituted with machines, right? So are they living or non-living? So yes, in higher classes, you will come to know that all living phenomena are due to underlying interaction. Properties of tissues are not present in constituent cells but arise as a result of interaction among the constituent cell. So, the properties of all the tissues have specific properties, so they come as a result of interaction among cells. Okay, so when a group of cells interact, they in turn provide the properties of the tissues that they are going to, like everyone knows, right? A group of cell is called tissue. So the property that the group of cells are going to produce is the property of the tissue. So similarly, property of cell organelles are not present in molecular constituents of the organelle but arise as a result of interaction among the molecular components of the comprising the organelle. So what is the property of a cell organelle? The molecular organelle, the molecular components, whatever they interact and they give rise to some property, and that will be the property of the molecular organelle as well. These interactions result in emergent properties at higher level of organization. This phenomenon is true in hierarchy of organizational complexity at all levels. Therefore we can say that living organism are self-replicating, evolving and self-regulating in interactive system capable of responding to external stimuli. So what are living organisms? They can self-replicate, they can evolve, they can self-regulate, they can interact, and they are capable to respond to external and environmental stimuli. So, what is biology? Biology is the story of life on Earth. It is the study of life, study of living organisms. So, biology is the story of evolution of living organism on Earth. So, these are things that you have to remember. Biology is the story of evolution of living organism on Earth. All living organism, present, past and future, are linked to one another by sharing of common genetic material but to various degrees. So yes, we our ancestors apes and like we had so many different ancestors with so many different species name, so all of us are related but to a varying degree. Yes, and also the non every one of us are made up of certain basic chemicals, right? So I'll tell all that in next chapters accordingly. So for now, subtopic 1.1 is over. Now, what I request you guys is you can listen to this lecture if you want. Like as you are listening to the lecture, you can just give a read to the highlighted points, and then what you do is go take out a MCQ book, and in 1.1 under subtopic 1.1, whatever MCQ they have given, please go do that MCQ. Then you are not able to do a particular MCQ, then take out the textbook, check what it is, and then learn it. You see, guys, this is called passive learning. This method is called passive learning, and when you follow this method, you will retain subject for a longer time. So just don't, after listening to this lecture, don't go and open your book and read and study and study and study. That is not how it is. This is MCQ based exam, guys. So please don't sit with the textbook and study and study. Listen to this lecture, go do MCQ. If you are not able to do certain MCQs, mark it up and then open the textbook and see why have you not known, like, um did you not remember? If you have not remembered it, please just go through only that part, and then let's meet tomorrow for the subtopic 1.2. So until then, bye bye.